We are back live. You found it. The tip of the spear in the Infowar. It's the Infowar with Jason Bermas coming at you from PrisonPlanet.tv and Infowars.com. And we are now joined by Anthony Tolda, who's a financial consultant who a few weeks back really bought it to Steve Israel, a representative at a health or a town hall meeting based on health care, but really gave it to him about the economy. How you doing today, Anthony?
Excellent. Thanks for asking, Jason. How are you?
I'm very, very good. So why don't you just tell people first your background and how you awakened to this stuff?
Well, one of these days I got a check from my fireworks company, and I said, you know what, I got a couple of extra bucks. I'm going to go out and buy myself an iPhone. So I go buy the iPhone, and, I started looking at different things that I was interested in. And all, these other links would pop up after I had watched a video, and it just became like a wormhole, and my learning capacity just became exponential. And I've always educated myself, but it's like having a library at your fingertips. And this is part of the reason the Internet is so threatening to the other side, and why they're actually introducing legislation now, as you well know, to attempt to regulate it or shut it down in a quote-unquote emergency.
Mm-hmm. And those are the Cyberbullying Act and the Cybersecurity Act. For those that don't know, it's positive to me to hear a iPhone success story, since so many people are really enthralled with their iPhone and use it to do, rather idiotic things. But it really is a great tool for the info warriors out there, because like you just said, it's a library at your fingertips. Whether you want to bring up a video from YouTube and show somebody, Alex Jones talking about H1N1 or the healthcare bill, you can actually bring up the healthcare bill in PDF format, run a little search right there, find the terminology. I mean, you can bring up this Copenhagen world tax bill that I've been discussing in the first hour and show somebody this, and look, this is what they're going to vote on. So it's very encouraging to hear that the iPhone is what actually woke you up to the situation that we now face. So you come in with this information, and then you have a town hall meeting relatively close to where you live?
Right. And just to clear things up, though, Jason, I mean, I had a teacher in senior year of high school that was just absolutely brilliant, and he really was the person that was a turning point in my life and opened my mind up. But, this iPhone experience obviously just, threw things full speed ahead, much like my campaign for Congress against Steve Israel started very small, and then this event happened at the town hall, which, same deal, just full speed ahead. It's such an exponential rate. It's overwhelming and amazing.
It is very overwhelming and amazing, and a lot of people don't understand. I mean, they think that if you rise to some kind of power or prominence or notoriety, that somebody has to be backing you, or that you have to be controlled opposition, or it was set up that way. That's not the case. If you take power in your own life, then you can have an exponential impact on those around you. And I think that it's safe to say that you were able to do this just by telling the truth at this meeting. This is a short segment, but just how do you make the decision to go down there, and what's running through your head before you get to say anything?
Well, first off, how could I not go down there? I mean, I look at it, it's all of our duty to get involved with this kind of thing as Americans, and we're in a constitutional crisis right now, and if we don't put a stop to it, we're going to be living, as slaves, like Alex always says. And even if they left the Constitution alone, what they're doing to our dollar is going to financially enslave us. So even if they left our rights alone, they would still wind up getting it done via the demise of the dollar.
And, as a financial consultant, what would you have to say to somebody who maybe is tuning into this program for the first time about the current state of the economy and the current state of the dollar?
Well, we had the GDP come out earlier this week at 3.5%. And as Peter Schiff came out and said, this number, it's not as positive as people like to make it out to be. It's all government-stimulated spending on borrowed money.
And that's why you're hearing things like a jobless recovery, while we have upwards to 12% unemployment admitted by the mainstream press. We're going to come back after this with Anthony Tolda. It's the Info Warrior, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com. We are back. It's the Info Warrior with Jason Bermas. We are joined by financial consultant Anthony Tolda. Now, Anthony, we were just talking about the state of the economy and the recent GDP, and really how it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, because this stimulus that they're talking about is all government spending. It's not really creating any jobs, and it's not really helping this economy. More people are losing their jobs than ever. In fact, I just broke it here on the air. CIT has just filed for bankruptcy, and this is along the lines of, Lehman Brothers going under and other large institutions like Washington Mutual, WorldCom, and General Motors. This is on that level. And some people are saying we're going to see even more of this in the coming weeks and months. What's your take?
We can't prop this up forever, and of course the truth is going to see the light of day no matter what they do to distract us or to artificially try to change a natural economic cycle. And by artificially trying to prop it up, all you're doing is making the inevitable correction that much more worse. And I think what we really need to do is, I know there's a lot of, upset over the 9/11 truthers and the birthers, and whether you agree with them or you're on the fence or you're one of them, you got to respect that they have a constitutional right to say what they believe, and we got to unify behind the Constitution, because it's something I know we can all get behind.
Well, absolutely. And they try to use those terms as though they're derogatory. Like, I just don't know how they do it. But, somehow truther is now a slam on somebody. How dare somebody look for the truth? I mean, that to me amazes me.
Well, they use the word conspiracy theory all the time. Mm-hmm. And all of this unconstitutional legislation that's being placed on us, the whole sales pitch is, well, if you're not a terrorist and you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't have a problem with us taking your constitutional rights away. Well, then you know what? If you're not a domestic enemy of the Constitution, then you shouldn't have a problem giving the people their date in court and letting a judge and jury decide. And the fourth check on the checks and balances system of our country is the people. And if they pass cap and trade, we need to spread non-compliance through the whole country. Small, medium, large businesses just don't pay the carbon tax. It's that simple.
Well, absolutely. Well, a lot of these small businesses have no idea what a carbon tax is going to mean for them. And what really comes to my mind when I see this carbon tax is I used to work in this barbecue joint called Brooks House of Barbecue in upstate New York, and they burn coal. We would go on the road, do catering, bring, these things. These guys are going to be taxed out of business, and they don't even realize it, and they don't even necessarily have to pass cap and trade here. If we sign on to this Copenhagen Treaty, which takes place in the first week of December, I believe it's December 8th to the 17th, then we are doomed. I mean, this...
Well, the Senate has to ratify that by a 2/3 vote. Mm-hmm. So I think the odds of that happening are slim to none. But it still is very insulting, and there's other things going on with the UN, like the Human Rights Treaty, or whatever they want to call it, between Obama and Egypt, that they claim is going to, create a mirror of our First Amendment rights throughout the world, when, in all reality, you just look at Egypt and their laws now. And what it's going to do is it's going to attempt to infringe on our First Amendment rights, which they're already doing. I don't know if you heard about the Scholastic newspaper that came out recently. It's a paper that all the children get in our public schools.
No, I haven't heard about it.
Oh, they put the Scholastic News out, and it had some stuff about the Constitution in it, and it addressed the First Amendment. And it says, we have the right to say whatever we want, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings.
Oh, someone did post that on my Facebook, but I didn't click on the link.
It might have been me. But
I do actually read my Facebook, folks. That's where I get a lot of my tips. But yeah, that does amaze me. It's basically trying to say that all speech that may hurt someone's feelings is hate speech, and we have to outlaw that. And when the facts are, it's just like along the lines of the Cyberbullying Act. They take a face out there like Miley Cyrus, which is recognizable by hundreds of millions of young people across the world and their parents, and she starts talking about how she just can't take all these cyberbullies calling her fat and it's derogatory, and she's behind the Cyberbullying Act, and she recently pulled out of Twitter because it was just too much for her. We need to pass a law, Anthony.
Well, yeah, I'm sure she has a really tough life. It must be terrible to have to deal with that, first off. I mean, this is ridiculous. If you don't like America, then, I think the best stimulus package for our economy is to give anybody that doesn't like the Constitution a one-way ticket to whatever...